Good morning and welcome to Dave's Delightful Dishes. And as always, I'm Dave, and it is such a delight to have you here in my kitchen. And on this delightful day, I've been challenged. My friend Devon, who I went to high school with, was posting on Facebook looking for a special diet kind of breakfast. She's looking for egg-free, because of dietary concerns, egg-free, gluten-free, and grain-free. Now that does put a bit of a hurt on most people's idea of breakfast, but I thought about it and I think I've come up with a solution. Let's check it out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be making a kind of one skillet breakfast scramble, which is going to have potatoes and some vegetables and some sausage. And I talked with Devon about what it is that she can and can't eat, and then also what does she like, what's she looking for in a breakfast flavor. And we came up with this. And the ingredients are here. Now the first thing we got to do is we got to parboil those little potatoes. I like using these tiny little guys just because they're in a bag, they're easy. All I do is got to cut them in half, and I like eating the skins on these kinds of potatoes. If what you have is russets, then you want to dice them up, but I would peel them first because russet skins, I don't find them to be as good in a cook because they're more papery. But what we got to do is we got some boiling water on the cooktop. We're going to parboil these for 8 minutes. This is something you can do ahead of time the night before so that when you get up in the morning, you don't have to do something else first, but I wanted to go through the whole process with you. So we're gonna head over to the cooktop for the rest of this. Okay, so we've boiled these potatoes for 8 minutes. So they are parboiled, so they're a little bit softer and they're ready to cook in the skillet with everything else. If we hadn't done that, you end up having to spend a lot of time on the potatoes before you can cook anything else, or you end up with little rocky potatoes. So this is one of those steps that sure you could skip if you dice your potatoes fine enough, but I've found that this just makes life a lot easier for me. So I try to pass on little tips like that to you guys. And you can also just put this through a strainer rather than using the slotted spoon, but I had the slotted spoon in front of me. And there we go. Now I've got a cast iron skillet. I got to get this hot. So I've got the heat on it. And once this heats up, we're going to start cooking. Okay, so I've got a tablespoon of butter melting on this hot skillet. And you can use butter, you can use margarine, you could probably use, any butter substitute since we're talking about special needs for diet. But whichever one works for you, we just need to lubricate, and it does add a little bit of flavor. So as we get this melting up, my potatoes are going to go in. We're going to get them going. And I have some finely diced onion. I would call that about a quarter cup. And about the same of I'm using multicolored, but bell pepper. And we need to cook this until the onions and the peppers have sweated and become, translucent and are starting to caramelize. And I want to add a pinch of salt to this. And now salt is going to be to taste. So we're going to let that cook for a little while. The vegetables are going to give off a little bit of moisture. The potatoes are going to give off a little bit of moisture. We can always add more butter if we need to, if the plate's too dry. But I will get back to you once we have some soft vegetables. Okay, things are starting to come along. We've still got a little ways to go on the onions, but they're close. And same thing with all this. The potatoes are still a little bit solid, but they're getting there. So at this point, I want to add some protein. And having talked with Devon, she likes turkey and chicken sausage. But you can use any breakfast meat you like here. If you're using raw ground sausages or any kind of raw meat, you want to put this in and keep on cooking it till it is cooked through. But these chicken sausages, and I've got apple chicken sausage and I've got breakfast with sage, these are cut into small little discs and they are pre-cooked. So all they need to do is heat up. So you just, depending on when you put these in, depends on how pre-cooked they are. Right now, I just want to get these to heat up with the rest of the dish, and they're going to give off a little bit of extra flavor too, which will help, blend everything together. So as you can see, this is most of the way cooked now, and you can see that there's browning happening on the sausage, and depending on what you had, you just want to make sure everything's well cooked. I'm going to put some pepper on right now, and I've tasted it, and I'm going to put a little more salt, but I'm going to do it after I put in my egg substitute. This is something, and if depending on your allergies, it does say that it was made in a facility that processes eggs. So depending on how bad your allergy is, this still might not be an option, but this is the best option for someone who can't eat eggs. As long as it's, I would discuss it with your physician before I chose this. I talked with Devon about it, and she said it should be fine. So I'm bringing my heat back to kind of medium-low, and we're going to take this scramble and we're just going to cover this. It's about the equivalent of 6 eggs. I'm going to put a lid on it, and I'm going to let it go for 3 minutes. And take a look at it every once in a while and make sure I'm not burning anything. But I want to make that egg substitute nice and firm over this over this kind of melange of vegetables. All right, it's been just under 3 minutes. And as you can see, there's still a couple of soft spots, but it's getting there. And it's more like I just got to move my heat around to make sure I'm getting every spot. But now that it's almost all the way there, for those who eat cheese, and my wife's one of them, I'm going to take, this happens to be like 3 types of cheddar, and I'm going to spread it over that section. So that way we can both enjoy it, since I don't eat cheese. But depending on your dietary needs, you might have cheese or might not, but that's an option. We'll put that lid back on, and we're going to let it go until that cheese is molten, and then I'm not seeing any liquid in the egg product left. Okay, this is brown at the edges. It's firm in almost every spot. By the time there's going to be a little bit of, there's going to be a little carryover heat when I bring it over to the counter for that last little bit. But these are, this is ready to go. So we're going to go back to the workstation and we're going to do some plating. So this was like 15 minutes cooking total, including chopping the vegetables. So, I had 8 minutes on the potatoes, and then it was like 3 and 3 for the cooking the vegetables, and then adding the egg product. So this is something that, as long as you have a little bit of pre-preparation, you could easily do any morning, but definitely this would be great for a weekend. So let's go ahead and we're going to get a little piece of this out. Now, as far as plating goes, there's a couple ways that you could do it, I think. You can do it just like this, where I'm going to just yank it out of the, well, let me use my bare hand so it doesn't slide away on me. Get a nice chunk of it. Just put that on the plate. And it ends up being kind of like a nice loose scramble with a bunch of hash in it. And if you have that, and maybe somehow, and have something else nice on the side there, like in this case, because of Devon's dietary needs, you can do a gluten-free, actual gluten-free, grain-free biscuit or bread. Those do exist. You just got to be very careful to look to make sure that it's not just gluten-free, that it's also got the grain-free. But your individual dietary needs are your individual dietary needs, and you probably have a good idea of what you might need. For anyone if anyone has any interest in that, this one actually uses cassava flour. I'm going to send the recipe to you, Devon. And if anybody else is interested in seeing a cassava flour biscuit, for people who are gluten and or grain free. Let me know in the comments. If there's enough interest, I'll put an episode out for it. But I have this. Do a crack of pepper on the top. Let the I'll let the eater do their but decide what they want to have for the how salty they want it, and then you can serve it with a side of whatever kind of bread or maybe a nice piece of fruit. And there you go. That is breakfast. Challenge accepted. Challenge delivered. Devon, I hope you like this. I'm gonna send you a couple other things as well, but I wanted to make sure I got one on video for you. For everybody else, if you don't want to use the plant-free, the egg-free egg, just scramble some eggs. This will work fine without the dietary needs as well. It's a versatile recipe. And as far as presentation, we do it like that. You could make individual ramekins for people, or I keep seeing these things at the flea market. There are tiny little cast iron pans. It'd be really cool if you would make individual pans, then we could put that little cast iron pan on a plate with the sides, just for great presentation. Anyhow, I would like you guys to try this. I would like you guys to tell me what you think. There's plenty of room for comments down below. The recipe itself, or the ingredients themselves, will be in the comments or in the description, as well as my Facebook page for Dave's Delightful Dishes and my Instagram. Those are also good places to leave me comments or notes or give me a challenge. You can also check out my Spreadshirt app there, where I have different merchandise for sale, including aprons and mugs and a lot of kitchen things. And, t-shirts with my face on them, always a good thing. So I would really like you guys to enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you at the next recipe.